He's the Hall of Famer, former Laker GM, now a member of the Golden State Warriors Executive Board. He's Jerry West back on the show. Jerry, how are you?
Fine, Dan.
You following the Lakers situation at all?
I think if you live in Los Angeles, it's impossible not to follow it.
Your thoughts when you heard Mike Brown had been fired?
Well, I think any time – I hate the word fired, okay? I hate the word fired. It's not something that's comfortable for me. I would love to say, we're going to be replaced, okay?
Okay.
Frankly, it didn't shock me at all the way things were going. They didn't look like that they had a whole lot of energy when they were playing, and I think that's one thing when you see a team that's not playing. Forget up to capabilities, because I think here sometimes people expect way too much of the Lakers and their present squad. But I wasn't shocked at all. No, I think it was something that was going to happen. I didn't know when, but I just felt it was going to happen.
But if you replace somebody, don't you have that person already to replace the coach you're letting go? That it almost seemed like you're replacing Mike Brown, and then you start negotiating with Phil Jackson, then you end up with Mike D'Antoni.
Well, that's the most awkward thing in the world. Again, I think it looked like it was Phil's job, and I have no direct access, even though Mitch Kupchak is a friend of mine. My son Ryan works for the Lakers. I really don't know. I don't have a connection there anymore. I really don't. But I watch with interest because of my many years with the Lakers as a player and as an executive. But I always think you have someone in mind, and it looked like that Phil Jackson was going to be the coach, and for whatever reason, that didn't work out that way. But I think I think one of the most awkward things of all, if there's a coaching change to be made, is to be negotiating with someone else, because I don't think that's good faith at all, and I think it's a terrible thing to do, and I don't think it should ever happen. But for whatever reason, they decided to make a coaching change, and I think they had a very short list of people, and I think that the two that were prominently there were Phil and also Mike. But again, I sort of thought that was Phil's job to have if he wanted to coach.
But if I'm looking at the roster right now, Jerry, whose style, what coach fits that roster better, Phil Jackson or Mike D'Antoni?
You know what? There's been a lot of different coaches have success different ways, and Phil has been a beneficiary of having incredibly great players to coach. And I think that's been his strength, to be able to coach great players and put them in a system that really believes in sharing the ball. But, contrary to what a lot of people think, I think as you get older, I think you need easier baskets, okay? And older players usually run better because they're smarter. They don't make many mistakes. They know when to run. They know when not to run. And I do think that they need a style that will let Steve Nash be Steve Nash. Otherwise, I think you put him out there, and I don't see what he's able to accomplish as a player unless he has the ball in his hands. And then also create some easier shots for Kobe Bryant, because at this point in his career, you don't want him going out there and killing himself every night, because it's just not something that older players are able to do. I think it'll actually benefit Dwight Howard a lot. I'm not sure where Pau Gasol fits into that equation, but he fit in beautifully with what Phil was trying to do.
Yeah.
And but I do think Dwight Howard, he didn't have the skill set of an Abdul-Jabbar, Shaquille O'Neal, or someone like that. Dwight is active and quick, and his ability to use his athleticism in and around the basket, and particularly in pick and rolls. And there's nobody better than pick and rolls than Steve Nash. There's just no one better. I think he will prosper with Mike in those things, and you'll see a lot of it. But at the end of the day, whatever it is, it's going to be controversy here in Los Angeles because of the popularity of the Lakers.
He's Jerry West, Laker Hall of Famer, joining us, Dan Patrick Show. Well, that's what I was wondering. I talked to Kevin Ding of the Orange County Register. I said, what is a successful season for L.A. fans? And he said, you got to win a championship. Are the standards too high for that organization?
Way too high. to me, I like this team. I think they've got names. Names don't win championships. Teams do. And as I say, when I look at their team, I see flaws in this team. And but again, I try to be objective when I look at the team, because that's the only thing you can be. It's not a. I don't think this is a perfect team at all. And I think that when people look at it, the expectation levels are going to be such. But I do think they need to play with enthusiasm. And the last two games they played the Warriors, which have been minus two very key players, and played with almost looked like we're taking whatever reins off her here, and just go out and play basketball and enjoy it. And frankly, they played and put up points against two teams that are not among the elite teams in the league at this point in time.
I'm also looking at egos and how that plays with Phil's ego, with Jim Buss. The fact that Phil sort of shown the door the last time around and then got rid of anybody who had any affiliation with Phil, it has to be awkward, though, for Jim Buss to even reach out to Phil Jackson, doesn't it?
Well, I think Jim is going to get credit or blame for anything, or going to get blamed for anything over there. But I think at the end of the day, his dad, who is very involved with the Lakers, even though he's been out of communication for a while. At the end of the day, I think his father is going to be the one who ultimately says, well, do we want to go this direction or that direction? I don't think this is. And Mitch Kupchak, I mean, everyone said, and I'm going to take them for their word, that this is a unanimous decision. So, whatever happens there, if you have three people making that call, it's always easy to point blame and place blame. But
yep.
As I say, when Phil was gone, there was not anyone left. But Phil has not produced any coaches. Okay, he has not. So he's had a unique style, and he's been the one who's been able to implement that. And but at the end of the day, I don't know, because I don't have that kind of information anymore.
Think Phil Jackson coaches again?
I ran into Phil and Jeannie Buss, and they've been companions for a long time, not too long ago. And he at a charity function, and Phil and I were talking, and I asked him if he'd want to coach again. He says no. He said he thought he was pretty much done. But I told him, I said he looked very healthy. He really did. I know in the past year he's had some health issues, but he looked very healthy. But I was convinced in my conversation with him that it's not something he'd want to do again. But I think he probably looked at the possibilities that maybe that he could help make a difference. And at the end of the day, that didn't happen.
I remember asking Jeannie about that, and she said, I don't know what he's going to do with himself. That he still has that fire, that competitiveness. You have it. Where do you go to be able to, compete or get that feeling back that you once had? Can you?
Dan, I think one of the things is, as you move along in your life, there's things that are near and dear to you. Okay, and I've always felt that I've been very competitive regards to what I've been doing with my life. But I know I would be no good if I just sit around all the time and watch basketball, which I do. But my involvement with the Northern Trust Open Golf Tournament, giving back to local charities here, has been really something that's been a lot of fun for me. And now my involvement with the Warriors, I feel alive again, because it's something that I spent my life doing. I was part of some really special things, and I'm hopeful that with the Warriors we can do the same thing up there. We can't do it if we keep getting people injured up there. It looks like there's a hex on this team. Yeah. But I can't do that. I'm too active, and I still work out. I still read, and my reading runs rampant or all over sports. I can't wait to read the sports section this morning. I haven't read it yet, but I can't wait to read it to see all the different columns, all the different people's take on it. But as I say, I just think obviously Phil's very bright, and it looks like to me that he saw this as an opportunity to do something he loves to do, and he wasn't the one who was chosen.
It's good to visit with you. Do you ever shoot hoops anymore?
Oh gosh, no, Dan. I see you shooting on the air every once in a while, and you look like you got pretty good form.
Well, if you leave me open.
Well,
That's the problem. Nobody
in the NBA just play with a good point guard. You'll get a lot of 3-point shots.
How do you think I would do in D'Antoni's offense?
Oh my God, you get a lot of shots.
Well, that's good.
I'd love to see you in short shorts too. By the way,
you want me to do like the shorts you used to wear?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Those weren't very flattering, were they, Jerry?
No, they weren't. They weren't. But that was the style. But that was the style of the day.
Well, I couldn't see you wearing the baggy ones now.
Well, I wouldn't wear them quite as baggy as the players would do. I like some things that fit a little bit better.
It's great to visit with you as always.
Okay, Dan.
Thank you, Jerry.
Best to you.
All right, Jerry West, Laker Hall of Famer. It's nice to know, Hall of Famer, critiquing my shot there. Yeah, Paulie?
That has got to be an all-timer. Jerry West just complimented your jumper.
Well, you know what? He's honest. And he's got a great basketball mind. He knows what he sees.